Chargers versus Vikings on Thursday Night Football. The Chargers demolished the Vikings on Thursday Night Football in a 37-10 victory, and the biggest star was unsurprisingly Justin Herbert, who had 227 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And meanwhile, for the Vikings, outside of that Jordan Addison touchdown, there wasn't really anything to write home about for Minnesota. And it gets worse. Carson Wentz suffered a season-ending shoulder injury, and now they're going to give the keys back to J.J. McCarthy. But don't worry, Vikings fans. J.J. McCarthy did, in fact, win a national championship in Michigan when he had Jim Harbaugh as his head coach, a stacked offensive weapons, and an elite defense all at the same time, so he knows what he's doing. Falcons versus Dolphins. How in the world did the Dolphins manage to beat the Atlanta Falcons? I swear, the Falcons is the most confusing team in the league right now. Some weeks they're good, some weeks they're bad. It's so confusing. But anyways, the Dolphins finally got their second win of the season, and Tua had a really good game. 205 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and played while having a pink eye. Isn't that crazy? And as for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins really didn't look that great. Bijan Robinson had only 9 carries for 25 yards. Puke. And Kyle Pitts was, well, Kyle Pitts. But don't get too excited though, Dolphins fans. Your team is still garbage. You just gotta play a really mediocre team like the Falcons, and eventually the losses will keep piling up, and Mike McDaniels will get fired eventually. It's only a matter of time. Ravens versus Bears. The Ravens upset the Bears in a 30-16 victory at Baltimore. Tyler Huntley, who famously made a Pro Bowl despite being a backup QB literally his entire career, had 186 passing yards and a touchdown, and Derrick Henry had 21 carries for 71 yards and 2 touchdowns. As far as the Bears go, Caleb Williams had another game where he threw for over 200 passing yards, no passing touchdown, and 1 interception. And DeAndre Swift, he actually looked really good with 11 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. And also, Rome Odunze had 7 receptions for 114 yards. It was a much-needed win for the Ravens, and now they're going to play on Thursday Night Football against the Dolphins, where Lamar Jackson will finally return from his injury. And as for the Bears, it was a heartbreaking loss, but hey, they're 4-3, and they should be fine. Bengals versus Jets. Now we get to the game that I honestly feel really embarrassed even bothering talking about right now as a Bengals fan, but I'll try my best. The Bengals had the lead for the majority of the game, and then we gave up 23 unanswered points to the Jets. The Jets! And we lost in a 39-38 home loss to the Jets. Justin Fields had a really good game, 244 passing yards and a touchdown, and Breece Hall had 18 carries for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. And following this loss, Joe Flacco is injured, and also Trey Henderson, so we're pretty much screwed. Being a Bengals fan is just pure torment. We have been mediocre for, 15 years, and then Joe Burrow comes to town. He led us to the Super Bowl. We blew that Super Bowl, and then we made the AFC Championship game the next year where the Chiefs stomped on our hearts, and we haven't made the playoffs since. And we're probably not going to make it this year. Burrow, if you're listening to this, please come back. And I know you're still recovering from your toe turf injury, but we are literally nothing without you. You are the heart and soul of this Bengals team, and you always give us a chance to finally get over that hump because of you. Panthers versus Bills. The Bills destroyed the ever-living snot out of the Panthers in a 40-9 victory at Carolina. Josh Allen put up really good numbers, 163 passing yards, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. And James Cook also had a really good game. 19 carries for 216 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And also Khalil Shakir had a really good game. 8 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. As far as the Panthers go, Andy Dalton had a really frustrating day. And also Rico Dowdle as well. And honestly, I have nothing else to say about this game. Because, we all knew that the Bills were going to destroy the Panthers. So, on to the next game. Texans versus 49ers. The Texans got a much-needed win against the 49ers in a 26-15 victory at Houston. And they finally had a functioning offense. Isn't that crazy? CJ Stroud had 318 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And as for the Niners, Mac Jones had a meh performance. He did throw 193 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. But the offense really struggled all day long. McCaffrey only had 25 rushing yards. And the leading in receiving yards for the 49ers was Juwan Jennings, who only had 45 yards. Fantasy owners are really going to have a field day with the 49ers after this performance. But hey, the 49ers are 5-3 and they should be fine. Patriots versus Browns. The Patriots once again destroyed a terrible team, 32-13, and this time it was against the Cleveland Browns. And Drake May had another great performance, 282 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And as for the Browns, it was frustrating for Dylan Gabriel and the Cleveland Browns, but the upside to this loss is that Myles Garrett had a career-high 5 sacks in a loss. He was also really frustrated with the Browns' performance offensively, and I can't say I blame him. But, dude, you sign a contract extension knowing this. You knew that Cleveland was a horrible team to play for. You knew that that incompetent front office wasn't going to help you in any sort of way. You were better off signing with another team that is not the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are undeniably going to ruin Myles Garrett's career and even his prime. And the only thing that they're going to be going for moving forward is getting a top 5 draft pick. Eagles versus Giants. I have 2 things to take away from this game. 1, the Giants got completely screwed by the refs in this game due to forward progress and a dumb offensive pass interference, and all around just really got screwed over. And another thing is I hope Cam Skattebo makes a full recovery, because that ankle injury he suffered, that was bad. And I love how a lot of people point out that Zach Bond literally did the hip drop tackle on Cam Skattebo prior to that injury, which I'm surprised it wasn't even called, but whatever. But anyways, as for the game itself, it was unsurprising that the Eagles would take down the helpless New York Giants that are without Malik Nabers and now Cam Skattebo. Jalen Hurts dominated through the air, 179 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, and Saquon Barkley had 14 carries for 150 yards and a touchdown. But don't worry, Giants fans, it's not all bad. You guys did sign a wide receiver to your team in Ray McLeod. And now your receiving core consists of Wandale Robinson, Ray McLeod, and Darius Slayton, I guess. But yeah, you guys are probably cooked. Saints versus Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, unsurprisingly, won against the helpless Saints in a 23-3 road win. And the Saints were unsurprisingly terrible, especially for Spencer Rattler, who threw for an interception, and now he is being benched for Tyler Shough. Not just for next week, but for the rest of the season. And all that matters is that the Buccaneers are so back. Go Bucks, baby! Colts versus Titans. The Colts kicked the ever-living snot out of the Titans, 38-14, and the biggest stars of this game was unsurprisingly Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. They unsurprisingly ran a train on the Titans all game long. Daniel Jones had 272 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and Jonathan Taylor had 12 carries for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, I love Jonathan Taylor as much as the next guy, but he is not going to be winning the MVP. I want him to win the MVP, but they're just not going to give it to him because that's not reality that we live in now. I mean, if this was the 2000s, then they would undeniably give it to him. But the MVP is now a quarterback-only award. They're only giving it to quarterbacks now. The Colts are now 7-1 and are still first place in the NFL. And honestly, you can tell everybody that the Colts are the best team in the league without being laughed out of the room. Because this is a legit football team. Ever since Carly Gordon bought the team after Jim Irsay tragically passed away, this team is finally good again for the first time since Andrew Luck. Broncos versus Cowboys. The Broncos got a huge win against the Cowboys and a 44-24 victory on Mile High. And the Cowboys' horrible defense made Bo Nix look like Tom Brady. 247 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And J.K. Dobbins had 15 carries for 111 yards. And Troy Franklin had 6 receptions for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. And as for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott had one of those games where he throws a lot of boneheaded interceptions. And Javonte Williams also had a really good game, but it wasn't enough. But I will give him credit for scoring 2 touchdowns in this game. And George Pickens, well, did George Pickens things. He is really effective in Dallas, but he has some performances like this where he really needs to be needed at the most crucial moments. Honestly, about this game, I really got nothing to say, so take it away, Scooter.
Are we the team that beat the Commanders, or are we the team that gets beat by Bo Nix? Why did we trade Micah Parsons?
Steelers versus Packers on Sunday Night Football. The Aaron Rodgers revenge game is not really what everybody hoped it would go. It was the Packers who got revenge on their former Super Bowl champion in Aaron Rodgers. And it was Jordan Love who got revenge on his successor in Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love had a really good game, 360 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And Tucker Kraft had a really good game on National Tight Ends Day, 7 receptions for 143 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. And as for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers did his job, but he got let down by his teammates. And you wouldn't like it when Rodgers is upset, because he would try to get coaches fired, not attend mandatory minicamps, criticize teammates, leave a team, and then smoke ayahuasca for the millionth time. For the first 3 quarters, it looked like it was going to be a Steelers win, but the Packers dropped 21 unanswered points and managed to win against Aaron Rodgers. So, good for Green Bay. And right now, they are currently 5-1-1 and are first place in the NFC North. And I guess drafting Jordan Love to the Packers wasn't such a bad idea after all. It was a risky move at first, but then Aaron Rodgers left, Jordan Love got his shot, and then won them a playoff game, got a huge contract out of it, and he looks to be the franchise QB for the Green Bay Packers. So in the end, it's a win-win for Green Bay. And finally, Chiefs versus Commanders on Monday Night Football. The Chiefs unsurprisingly beat a Commanders team that was without Jane Daniels, and Terry McLaurin got hurt after he just came back from injury, and their starting quarterback was Marcus Mariota of all people. And both quarterbacks combined for 4 interceptions. Mahomes threw 2 interceptions, and one of them wasn't really his fault, as Travis Kelce bobbled the ball in the air, and it was intercepted by a Washington defender, which I must admit it was a good Kadarius Toney impersonation, but whatever. And he also threw another interception to Marshawn Lattimore, which is Patrick Mahomes' fault. And as for Marcus Mariota, he threw 2 interceptions, which is not really surprising, honestly, because he's horrible. But anyways, that means we are unfortunately back to the dark ages with the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately.